I think we'll start, and I hope I'm audible. Good evening and a very warm welcome to you all, and thank you so much for joining in on this event. My name is Tanmay, and I'm a marine biologist, and I work with Dakshin Foundation. We'll start off the session, but before going into what we are doing, I'll just give a very quick background. This session on how to draw corals is jointly organized by Dakshin Foundation and Rainbow Fish Studio. As some of you might already know, Dakshin Foundation is a NGO based out of Bangalore, and we work on conservation and natural resource management in India's coastal, marine, and island systems. Rainbow Fish Studio is a virtual arts and design education program which collaborates with artists, designers, and art educators to develop art integrated learning approaches for young learners. So today's session, while we are going to learn on how to draw corals, we will also be talking very briefly about what corals are and some other interesting things about coral reefs. So we have split this session into two parts, and in the first session, myself and my colleague Isha, both of us who are marine biologists, will be talking to you about coral reefs, following which Amala, who is an art educator working with Rainbow Fish Studio, will be teaching you how to draw corals. So without further ado, I hand over the session to Isha, and again, thank you very much for joining, and I hope you guys have a great time. Yeah.
Hello everybody, my name is Isha and I am a marine biologist and I am going to talk about coral reefs today. So you must have all seen at least photos of this, if not this. So this is a coral reef. So like on land, a lot of trees form a forest. Similarly, underwater, these corals individually come together to form a coral reef. And this coral reef is formed by animals called polyps, and the reef is formed, the structure, the hard structure that is formed is formed using calcium carbonate. So calcium carbonate is, the same material as chalk or eggshells. So this is deposited slowly by the polyps over time to build these reefs, and they form massive structures underwater, which are very beautiful and colorful. So these coral reefs are known for their color. So there is something else that gives them this color. So these coral reefs live in association with another plant or algae or some form of algae called zooxanthellae. So these zooxanthellae are responsible for the color of coral reefs. So why do they live together? They live together in something called symbiosis. So symbiosis is when two living beings live together interdependently and benefit each other. So here, you must have all seen the movie Finding Nemo. So this fish is called a clownfish, and it lives in symbiosis with something called sea anemone. Similarly, our coral reefs also live in symbiosis with something called zooxanthellae. So this is a coral reef, and the green color that you see is all their microscopic organisms called zooxanthellae. So this is how the coral reefs live. And what is the function of these zooxanthellae? So these zooxanthellae give food to coral reefs, and these coral reefs give shelter to the zooxanthellae, and that's how they live together. Okay. Now these coral reefs in India, where are they found in India? So they are found in Gulf of Kutch, which is in Gujarat. They are found in Gulf of Mannar and Park Bay, which is in Tamil Nadu. They are found on the western coast of India in Maharashtra and Goa. They are found in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and they are found in the Lakshadweep Islands. So coral reefs are basically widely distributed around India. Now you must be wondering that how do these coral reefs get food? So like I said, zooxanthellae make most of its food, but these are something called coral polyps. So they have small, tiny tentacles like jellyfish, which they use to feed food, which they use to feed from the water column. And you must be wondering what all is found in this coral reef area. So along with coral reefs, we also get a lot of other plants and animals that stay here, like a sea urchin, a feather star, big sharks, and also something called sea cucumbers, dolphins, turtles, and many different kind of fish. Now I will hand over to Tanmay, and he is going to talk more about coral reefs.
Okay, thanks Isha, and I hope you guys enjoyed and learned few things about corals. I know these are animals we don't often see, so a lot of it depends on your imagination, and I think the next session will tap some of that. But Isha told us about what coral reefs are, but you know what is very interesting is, why do we study coral reefs? Why are scientists all over the world spending so much money and so much time studying coral reefs? And that is mostly because of how important reefs are to people living in coastal areas, to people living in islands, and largely everyone living near the coast. So one of the main things why corals are important is that a lot of fish or seafood, different kinds, it could be crabs, lobsters, it could be snappers, are all found in coral reefs. And coral reefs, as some of you might have gotten a chance to go underwater to dive, right? So coral reefs also form a very important, important source of livelihood, an important source of income for many people. And what is also interesting is that in small island systems, they also form a very important barrier against big waves and cyclones and tsunamis. Now, funnily, what makes corals important are also a few reasons why coral reefs around the world are, endangered. And these include harmful fishing practices, these include discarded fishing gear, pollution, diseases, and a lot of other things. I'm sorry I have to show images, but that is the best that Instagram lets me do. But because of all these threats, coral reefs are, slowly declining all over the world. And it is quite dangerous because these systems occupy a very small part of the ocean floor, but they are home to many species. Almost a quarter of all marine species are found in coral reefs. So if coral reefs degrade or if coral reefs die, there is a possibility that we might lose out on all these fish that Isha spoke about, sea urchins and sea cucumbers and anemones. So scientists and countries, governments are trying a lot, to help control or reverse this decline. Some of these things you might have already heard, like reducing emissions, reducing global warming, and things like that, keep on happening at a broad country level. But what can we do? What can individuals do? What can you and I do to save corals? And some things that we can do are actually very simple, which include adopting a lifestyle that is not very harmful. For example, reducing our use of plastic, right? It is very likely that the plastic that I throw in the sea in Bombay finds its way to Andaman or Mauritius or Lakshadweep or some remote place. So cutting down on some of these things or reducing our use of fossil fuels, using local transport, and generally being more aware and sensitive about these systems can go a long way in protecting these species from decline. So this is like a very broad, just to give you a broad sense of what coral reefs are. But now we will actually move on to the fun part of the session, which is learning how to draw corals. And like I mentioned earlier, this session is going to be led by Amala, who's an art educator working with Rainbow Face Studio. So I will give you a minute to quickly gather your paintbrushes and paints and pencils and rubbers and papers and all of that, because once she starts, you have to be ready, right? So I hope you enjoy the next session, and I will quickly add Amala to this session. Sorry, just give me a minute. We are having some technical glitches to add Amala. Just give me a minute.
Hi Isha, hi Tanmay. Thanks a lot for that. Hi everyone.
Okay, hi Amala.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry for the sorry for the glitches. So
Problem.
anyway, I hand over the session to you, and I will switch off my video. Otherwise, it might get a little confusing for those who are following you. Yeah, but we are also drawing on the side, so we will be ready with our
Awesome.
choral at the end of the session. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Over to
Thanks.
you.
Okay. Hi everyone else. It's so nice to virtually meet you. I can see some of you, some familiar faces, some familiar names. So I'm going to be taking you through this art session itself. I'll be moving my camera so that you can see overhead my workspace. Take a minute or so to gather all your materials and we can get started right away. So just give me a minute as I shift my camera. Okay, I hope everyone can see this clearly. So I'm just going to take you through the materials we need again. You'll need a sheet of paper. I've actually taped it down. You can do the same if you want to as well, or have a heavy weight holding it down. 2 pencils, I'll explain why soon. An eraser. You'll need a set of oil pastels or wax crayons. Any kind of crayons will work. A set of watercolor paints. Of course, that goes with a bowl of water and a brush that we'll need too. And last but not the least, our secret ingredient is a little bit of rock salt. So if you don't have rock salt, even plain table salt is fine as well, the powdered salt. Okay, so it would be best if you kept your workspace clear. I'm going to move everything else aside. Okay, so we have just our paper, our 2 pencils and eraser ready for the drawing. Just a minute, I'm going to make sure you can see the entire sheet. Okay, great. Could you all respond with a thumbs up if you can see, hear all of that clearly? Okay, so first things first, we're going to just start with 1 pencil. I'm left-handed, I'm going to be drawing this way. If you're right-handed, you will need to draw the same thing. We're going to be starting near the base of the paper, and what we're drawing is the ground line. So I'm going to just draw this out first. Okay, it's just a bumpy line near the bottom. What I'm also going to be showing you are some options. So as you can see, I've not taken it all the way to the edge. It's just focused in the center of the paper near the bottom. So the baseline itself, you can do in 4 different ways. So I'm going to show you in 4 different panels, the 4 different ways you can do this. So it can be sinking below like this, can be a little bit of a mound sticking up like that. Doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line, a little bumpy this way and that way works. Raised to one side like this or the other way like that. All right. So those of you working along with me, please give me a thumbs up or an indication that you're done. And what we'll do is go on to the next step then. Okay, so this is our ground line. The first step that you're going to be drawing near the bottom of the paper as a baseline. Okay, just one more time, the options. If anyone is taking a little time to keep up, you can even take a screenshot of this. You can take a screenshot of the different steps as I show them to you as well. All right, I'm moving this aside. So this is the real fun part. And this is where you're going to be taking both of your pencils, one in each hand. Okay, this is something you might have done before for fun, you might not have, but it's going to be a fun challenge for all of you. So what we're going to do is place both our pencils and work with both of them at the same time. So nearer to the top, this is a little marker of where your coral is going to start. At the center and close to the top, just make a small little mark or a dot at the top. Okay, and this is going to be your starting point for the coral. So if you're done with this, grab both your pencils, place them together at that point. Now remember, your drawing does not have to be perfect. We all have one hand stronger than the other, but we're going to make our coral shape by drawing it with the pencil, both the pencils simultaneously on both sides. So I'm going to show you some options after this as well. So just watch what I'm doing first, okay, so that you understand how it works, and then you can do your own. Okay, can you see I'm just following along all the way to the bottom, okay, taking it outwards and inwards, making coral branches that are shorter, some that are longer, some that are curved upwards, and I've gone all the way down to the bottom, touching this baseline. Okay, so this is our first step. Our hands might be a little shaky, that is only natural, but please do your best. I have a few options for this as well. All right, so if you'd like your coral to have slightly more pointed branches like this, you could follow along like that. If you're feeling a little more adventurous and you'd like to take it all over, add in a lot more detail, you can try either of these two. These two are a little simpler with slightly different forms, and this one is, these two are a little more complex. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes because I know this might take some time. You don't need to erase, do your best, and I'm sure it'll look great. I will also take some questions now. If anyone needs to just type it in quickly, I can respond to that soon. Okay. Isha and Tanmay, I am not able to see if there are any questions, but if there are, if you could just read that out, that will be great. Okay, so it's been a minute. I hope you've been able to draw this. You start near the top, you're working your way down, and the best part about this is that it exercises both your hands, it exercises both parts of your brain. It's an awesome activity to do. Okay, so we've got our coral shape done now. What we're going to be doing next are adding small features near the base of our coral. Okay, so these might be different things that you find near the coral itself. It could be a starfish, it could be a sea urchin, it could be more coral. All of these are things that you can think about that you might want to add to yours. So here we just have a few rocks. We've got a starfish over here, a sea urchin, which is nice and spiky, with lots of spiky lines coming out.
Yeah, Madam.
Different coral on both sides as well. Yeah, tell me.
We have a question
Yeah.
which says, does the middle stem have to be thick or thin?
So there is no rule for that. The coral as well, they're just organic shapes that really, there's no fixed rule for how the shape ought to be. So if it happens to be a little thicker, that's fine. If it's thinner and the main structure, the main trunk of it is a little narrower, that's fine as well. All right. This is more just about having fun, doing a free form shape. All right. I hope that answers your question. So these features are something that you can add next. I'm going to be keeping it here. I hope this is visible for all of you, and adding my own too. So the sea urchin is quite fun. I start with just the base shape. I'm adding this here. So lots of spikes. They stick out in all directions. It's almost like a scribble that ends up looking like a fun animal for us to add. Okay, so there we go. And maybe one more little coral shape coming out like this. Okay, so as you can see, you will need to erase a few lines here and there so that you see what's in front and what is behind. Okay, so that's our feature at the base of the coral. It just adds a little something to that cluster over there. Please let me know if you're done with this and if I can move on to the next step. Those of you who might have joined in just now, there will be a recording of this that you can follow at your own pace afterwards. So that'll be fun for you to do as well. You can watch along anyway now. Okay. So that was our little drawing step, a little feature at the base of the coral itself. Okay. The other thing that we're going to add, as Tanmay and Isha had mentioned, there are a bunch of fish that live in coral reefs. They're an amazing home for all of these fish. So we've compiled a small bunch of different tropical fish over here. All right. And the reason that we've picked these is that they have unique shapes. The body shape itself are quite different in each one. You'll also see that the patterns are different. The size and shape of the fins are different also. So we've got a parrotfish over here, a butterfly fish, a box fish. It's actually in the shape of a box. It's quite awesome. You should look it up afterwards. A clownfish and a wrasse. So these are a few different kinds. I will come back to this and show you these again, but it's for you to decide and for you to compose anywhere that you like around your coral. So you can do one, you can do two of the same one. That's completely up to you. Okay, so go ahead, take a look at this. If you feel like it might take you a little time, you can even take a screenshot, as I mentioned earlier. So very carefully notice the form and shape of each one. That's what sets them apart. Notice the pattern, like we've got stripes, we've got spots, big bolder stripes here as well. Look at the shape of the fins and the tails also, and draw a few of them around your coral. Okay, I'm going to take a minute. I'll be keeping it up here, keeping it a little lower because I'll draw mine above. Okay, I hope you all can see that. Okay, I'm going to be drawing a parrotfish swimming upwards like this. Another fun thing that we like to do with Rainbow Fish is create our own versions of many of these things. So if it's a fish, we might just make our own. So that's something you can do as well. Don't feel restricted by these fish that you see here only. You can create a fish of your own, think about a pattern of your own as well. That's always welcome. Okay. So I know this step might take a little more time. I'll wait a minute. Any questions? Please feel free to type it out. So our composition is slowly coming together. We've got the coral, we've got the little elements at the cluster near the bottom. We've got a fish or two surrounding it as well. And with that, our drawing step is over. So you can bring your oil pastels or crayons, your wax crayons. We'll be using that soon after. Okay. All right. So if you do need this, please take a screenshot. I will be moving it aside now. Get your wax crayons or oil pastels, any kind of crayon, get that ready for the next step. Bringing in a little color is going to be the most fun. Okay, all right. So I've got my set of oil pastels here. Okay, we're going to think about first just tracing out the shape of our coral. All right. And we're going to avoid blue simply because we will be using blue for the space all around it. We don't want them to merge together. A nice warm color like red, yellow, orange, pink, colors like that will stand out against the blue background. So even if you'd like to use green, that's fine. Green, brown, colors like those work as well. Just blue, we'll avoid. Black and white too also. Black we'll avoid as well. And white we won't see on the white paper. So any other color is good. All right. I'm going to go in with a purplish pink. And once you've picked your color, please trace out the entire shape. So for this, you don't have to use two hands. You can go ahead with just one. Okay. We work our way down. So with most mediums, we start near the top and work our way towards the bottom just to avoid our hand smudging it. So one side at a time, all the way to the bottom. So you can make your way through the sea urchin or starfish or anything that might be overlapping. Okay. We are also going to now fill in the other parts as well. So once your coral itself is traced out, it's only the outline that we need. Make sure it's a thick outline. Press it nice and hard because that's what we're going to need for the watercolors that come next. So a nice thick outline. You can put that color back in the box. Choose any other color that you might want for the other parts. So if you have any other coral, if you have a sea urchin, you can use other colors for that. Okay. So it's your choice when it comes to these colors. Like I said, we'll avoid blue, we'll avoid black and white. Okay, just tracing that out with orange and a dark green. A dark green or dark blue would be nice to make these sea urchin spines stand out. I hope all of you are keeping up and enjoying yourselves. That's the most important part. Don't worry about making it absolutely perfect, just enjoying it, and creating a work of your own is the best part. Okay. We will also use a light brown or dark brown, either of these shades, just to trace out the ground line. So whatever you can see of it, if it's not too covered, trace out the ground line. Okay, so we're not going to stop there. We're actually going to fill in a little bit of this space using our oil pastel or wax crayon. If it has a sticker or a label on it, you could remove that. And we'll use this oil pastel on its side. So you can see that you will need to rub the oil pastel to get a lovely textured effect like this. All right, which really works well for the base over here. All right, you can go into any of the parts, make sure it looks like it's continuous. Like I said, light or dark brown works for this step. Okay, so let me know how everyone's doing. The more pressure you put, the darker the effect is going to be. The lighter you make it, it's going to just be a slightly lighter texture. Okay, so before we move on to the actual coloring of the fish, any indication that y'all are keeping up and you've reached this stage would be great. A thumbs up, even a heart, whatever works. I'll just be able to know that all of you are keeping up. Okay. So we're going to now look at coloring the fish. So you have an option of either following the realistic color scheme of these fish, okay, or using your own colors just from something that you would like to use. So you can use any combination of colors. It's ironic that we're called Rainbow Fish Studio. You can think about rainbow colors and add that to your fish as well. You can think about realistic ones, like you can recognize here the clownfish that Isha had mentioned earlier as well. Yes, this is a parrotfish, lots of bright colors, cool colors like greens and blues. We've also got the boxfish, all right? So the boxfish, in fact, has black spots on this yellow base. So that's quite a fun pattern. So think about colors that you'd like to add and color in your fish. Okay, this is just to make sure that y'all are following the realistic ones, but you're most welcome to even look aside, think of colors you'd like, and add that separately. Okay, I'm going to move this a little below so that I can color in the butterfly fish that I've drawn here. I think I'll do this with red stripes, reddish orange. I'll be blending them together. Okay, just merging the orange and red together. So I have done that here with yellow and orange, as you can see. A gradient really adds something to it. Similar to a butterfly's wings, the butterfly fish has a very prominent eye even on its body, like butterfly wings have on their tails, on their wings, sorry. So we've got this color here. I'm just merging in the tail as well. Okay. To make it just a little clearer, I'm going to take my black oil pastel. Okay, and this is just going to give it a bold outline. Color in the eye, the stripes. A little bit of black to also define these shapes. So this isn't an entire outline, it's just accent lines to highlight some of the parts. Okay, so I'm doing this. I hope you can keep up, because what comes next is going to be the painting. So if you can indicate to me how it's coming along for you, that would be great. Isha and Tanmay, how are you all doing?
Yeah, trying to keep up pace. Not as good.
Okay, so no, don't worry about that. It's just the pace. I'll wait a minute then, no problem. A minute or two for everyone to catch up. So if there are any specific parts that you'd like to follow, this is what you can do. Don't feel intimidated or restricted by these fish colors. You can just use whatever you'd like on your own also, for all of you.
Okay, we have caught up now.
Okay, awesome. So what's going to happen next is we move aside our oil pastels or wax crayons, whatever we've used, and we bring our paints into the picture. So it would be best to keep the paints on the side of your dominant hand. So like I mentioned, since I was left-handed, I'm going to keep it on the left side. If you are right-handed, please keep it on the right side, along with your bowl of water on the right side as well. Okay. We also need to bring the rock salt into the picture. This is what we're going to be using along with our painting. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to start with is the first thing that we drew and the first thing that we traced as well, which is the coral. So you'll notice a lot of good space inside here to fill up with bright color. We're going to start with the wet on wet technique. It's also sometimes called the wet in wet technique. And you're going to first start by just using water. And like I mentioned earlier as well, starting near the top of the paper is key so that we don't smudge it with our hand. So just putting water, okay? And we're going to do this one section at a time. So if you can see here, I'm just focusing on this part first, then we'll go on to the next one and then the next one. So this you can do along with me. You don't need to watch the whole thing done first. I'll pause and wait. You'll notice that the water sits very comfortably inside the oil pastel line. That's called oil pastel resist. Oil pastels and watercolors, or just water, resist each other. So that's why they work very well together as a medium. They don't blend in with each other. So I've got just water here now. Okay. And for the next step of the wet on wet technique, we're going to take a color paint of our choice. All right, take a lot of it. So as you can see, I'm rubbing my paintbrush through it, taking a little more water, making sure that I have a good amount of it held in my brush. Okay. We do need to work quickly simply because the water shouldn't dry soon. So pick up the paint. And as soon as you touch the water, it's going to help spread it on its own. So it's going to give a really nice textured effect. The fun thing here, so I use the color of the outline, but feel free to use a different color if you want as well. what I'm going to do is also bring in another color. So a little bit of orange. Okay. And you'll see that the water just helps them blend in so easily. All right. So this is our first section of wet on wet done. But that's not all, because we are going to bring the rock salt in next. So take a little bit of it and you're going to sprinkle it right over that paint while it's still wet. Okay, do you see that? So the salt is going to basically just absorb that paint, and it's going to take a little time to dry, especially those of you who, if you're in Chennai or in a humid area, it will take some time to dry, sometimes even all the way up to the next day, overnight. So it will need some time to dry, but once it's done, you can dust off the salt and there'll be a lovely textured effect left behind over there. So that's basically how the whole thing is going to go. Please continue on now, one section at a time, working your way from the top to the bottom. So it's absolutely fine if the water gets colored. Okay, we're going to fill it in with similar colors anyway. Just adding that in, watching it spread out on its own. I'm going to bring a little blue into this, because once blue and this mix, it's going to make a lovely purple. Okay. Remember, between two colors, wash out your brush. And don't forget, you do the rock salt at each step. So before it dries, sprinkle a little bit of rock salt. Okay. You'll see it changing color immediately as it picks up the paint. Continuing further down. I hope everyone's doing okay. So there are three techniques I've mentioned so far. The wet on wet technique, which is basically adding water first, then adding your paint color. The second technique, or the method that I mentioned, is oil pastel resist. It's also called watercolor resist sometimes, which is the fact that oil pastels and watercolors repel each other. So you can nicely create a boundary here for the paint to fit inside. And the last one is, of course, the rock salt technique. So we've got those three. Let's keep that in mind. And the applications are so many. You can use it for absolutely anything that you paint or draw. They're very versatile techniques. If you feel like the water is running out, you can always dab a little bit more so that your salt holds on to it better. Little more blue and purple, blue making purple here. You will need to blend them in together so that they mix. The brighter the color, the more the effect of the salt. Okay, so while we're using a lot of water, we will need to take as much paint as we can to balance it out. I don't think we'd find very many smooth coral around. So this is going to create that effect that real coral have. Do you see how the oil pastel is resisting the water here? Yeah, the lines of the sea urchin. Kind of overall created a bit of a gradient. So we're making sure that the texture in different places stands out from the rest. Within the coral, we've got the rock salt technique. In the ground, we've got this oil pastel rubbing, which we're next going to paint over. And the water around is going to have a little bit of splatter. So that's going to help your work. Each part of it just stand out. A nice bright sunshine yellow. I'm going to fill that in. Those of you working with paints, make sure you're holding your brush close to the edge like this. It helps you control your brush better, not very far away. So make your way a little closer here. How's everyone doing? I hope you've been able to catch up. I hope you're enjoying the rock salt technique, filling up all the other little parts as well. I'm going to move on to just filling up the base here. So dark brown or light brown. It's just going to fill in the space, again with the oil pastel resist technique, but you will still clearly see the oil pastel rubbing. You can just merge that out, make it a little darker near the top. We'll leave the sea urchin as it is. You don't need to take it all the way to the edge of the paper. We can focus it just here, leaving a little gap around. Isha and Tanmay, how's it going? Could you let me know? So we've already got a nice bright riot of colors. We will be adding our water around next.
Yeah, it's going great so far.
Good. Okay, so have you been able to finish even the ground?
We are doing it right now.
Okay, awesome. So take a minute or so, no problem. If anyone needs to replace their water, get a little bit of clean water, you can do that. So the white of the fish will stand out once we have the blue all around. So it is nice to leave some white spaces here and there. It might be even in the coral, that's absolutely fine. It gives our eyes some relief from a lot of the color. So either way, you will enjoy all of the little spaces, all the colors coming together in that way. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and explain how we're going to do the background. All right. If all of you could just pause for a minute, watch how this is, and then continue, that would be great. So again, for this step, we're going to start closer to the top. We're going to do little blotches. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit of wet on wet. So just a little bit of water first, surrounding the fish, surrounding the coral, between the branches of the coral as well. So that's something that might happen. In case it touches a part where it's still wet, a little bit of it might come out. That's absolutely fine. What you can do is squeeze out your brush so that it's dry and it's going to look flat like this. And then you can just absorb that. You can pick it up and it'll fix any mistakes that might happen. Again, there are no mistakes. It's going to look fun. You can cover it up. Watercolors are very forgiving that way. Okay, so blue, and watch as it spreads on its own. Yeah, that's the best part about the wet on wet technique. So I'm just dabbing it along. You'll find it spreading out on its own. Some parts, if you do it without the wet on wet technique, then you'll have slightly darker areas, which is nice. It gives it a good contrast. So I'm doing a little bit of that as well, spreading it out. While the oil pastel lines, of course, are going to help keep everything in place, we still might move it around and might touch a little part of it once in a while, but that's okay. Okay. Let's add in a little bit of the green. Let's see what that does. Kind of an aqua color. So wet on wet also helps mix colors into each other nicely. Moving the water around. So again, this layer doesn't have to go all the way till the edge. You can just concentrate it around your coral and the other features as well. Make sure they blend into each other. I hope all of you are enjoying it, having fun, taking it easy. No pressure on making a perfect picture. And while we did specify 6 to 9 years, this is something that anyone at any age could try, right? Isha and Tanmay, I'm sure y'all are enjoying it as much as the others. So if y'all are able to watch the recording afterwards, if anyone else wants to try it out, that would be great. While it's still a little wet, I'm also going to take a little of the color and just splatter. So I'm just tapping my brush from above, okay, to just distribute some color here and there. That adds a nice effect also. Working with two hands also, the drawing step that we had started with, that might have been new to all of you, but go ahead and do that for anything else that you might think of. So while we also created a coral shape that's symmetrical, if you want to challenge yourself, you can even try doing one that's asymmetrical, so different on both sides. Try doing something different on the left side and different on the right side. That could be fun as well. So take your time with this water background. All right. I'm sure it's standing out and the coral against it is standing out as well. I'm going to add a little bit more blue around the fish so that it stands out. And always remember with watercolors, they dry a little bit lighter than it looks when it's still wet. So if the intended shade or color that you want, you would need to make it slightly darker so that once it dries up, you'll get the color you want. All right, you'll notice that happening here. The blue that was a little bit brighter has dried out to become lighter. So you'll need to think about that as you're adding each layer of color. Okay, so with this, we're done. like I mentioned also, it will take time to dry, especially the rock salt. So wait overnight, make sure you keep it flat, keep it somewhere safe where it's not going to fly away. Keep a heavy weight on it so that it stays in place as well. And whenever you feel that it is a little dry, it might even take a little time if the weather is humid wherever you are. So once you feel that they are loose and dry as well, dust it off, and you'll have a nice rough texture all over the coral surface. Okay, so that's about it. So while this live has been quite one-sided, y'all have been able to see my work, a lot of the options. I'd love to be able to see your work as well, and I'm sure Isha, Tanmay, and everyone at Dakshin too. So your finished images, once you're done with it, you can take a picture and DM it to us. So it can be either to rainbowfish_studio or even Dakshin_seas. We'd love to see your finished work also. Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, I hope all of you enjoyed that. Tanmay, would you like
thank
to?
you, Amala. That was beautiful. Yeah. So this is what we managed to.
Awesome, that's great. That looks really great.
And this
Let's
as well.
Oh, superb. I like the little clownfish that's green and pink and purple.
Green clownfish, yes.
Yeah.
But it was really nice, especially the rock salt technique. Like all of us here loved it. We like, just to give a disclaimer, this was not like all of us worked on one drawing together, so it was co-art. But it was lovely. Yeah, and I hope everyone who joined us also really enjoyed this. And like Amala mentioned, this will go in the Dakshin highlights and also on the Rainbow Fish Instagram page. So if you've missed out on any parts, just please feel free to check out the videos again and do it. And I hope everyone had a great time. We definitely did. And I'll leave the session on for a couple of minutes in case anyone has any questions for either me or Isha or Amala, and we would love to answer them.
Absolutely, yes. And a reminder about sending it. Sorry?
Yeah. Please, we really want to see all your images, all your paintings. So do click a photo and DM it to us, and we will also post it as part of our stories so you can see what everyone else did.
Yeah, that would really be fantastic. So, like I said, also not just restricted to 6 to 9-year-olds, anyone who feels like can try it out. It's fun and challenging and enjoyable for anyone who wants to go for it.
Yes. Some of you found it pretty hard, but yeah, maybe give it another go with more time, and I'm sure the more you practice.
Yeah,
I mean, drawing with a left hand is definitely pretty hard. Like, we struggled.
Exactly, the non-dominant hand, that definitely takes some practice, but it's just more about just winging it, letting both your hands be free. Definitely warming up also helps. So that would be nice in case anyone is trying it out again.
Yeah, luckily corals are asymmetrical, so
correct.
It works.
It does have to be perfect. Yes. So drawing with both hands asymmetrically is a level up. So I would recommend anyone who wants to do that, do it after you try a symmetrical coral. So then you can, do another version of it also. I'm sure that would be as enjoyable. Yes.
It does feel like a happy painting.
Yes. It does. Was happy to paint it also.
Yeah. Okay, Amala, we don't seem to be getting any more questions, so we'll stop the session here. But once again, thank you so much, Amala, and everyone else for joining. We had a great time, and I'm sure you all did as well. And do DM us in case you have any questions, in case you have any thoughts, and definitely send us your art. yeah, and do follow Dakshin and Rainbow Fish Studios Instagram and other social media handles, because we keep having these events every now and then. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and with that, I'll sign off. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tanmay. Thanks, Isha. Bye bye.